Wow, that was a Saturday and a Sunday and a half. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Cowboy and the Hawk's Nest podcast. Today we will be talking about the XFL and the great weekend that they had. I know it's late, but better late than never, hey? Let's start off with the first game. The Seattle Dragons against the DC Defenders. That was refreshing. I haven't seen football like that since the the late 2000s. That was exciting, pace-driven football with some players that no one even knows. But there was one player that we all knew. Cardale Jones. That man played some fantastic football on the ground and throwing the ball like I have never seen before at an amateur league. Well, I guess you can call the XFL professional league because they are getting paid. But on the level of play that can be considered middle to late tier NFL. I had fun watching that football game. Now, we have fun watching the NFL all the time, and we're used to it. But an upstart league out of nowhere, almost out of nowhere, that shows us similar content for cheaper prices and more relative excitement. The kickoff. I'd never seen it before. No one's seen it before. I was interested to see how they implemented it. I didn't think I'd like it at first. But I think the NFL would be good to adopt it. I know we all cry. Me especially, I'm one who cries about the NFL being the no fun league because they're changing the league from what it used to be when everyone loved the sport of football and no one was worried about concussions or anything, and they had to baby-proof the NFL. But I think this baby-proofing might actually be worthwhile because, sure, you might not have the big hits or the big pancake blocks on a kickoff like you used to, but this kickoff is exciting in other ways. To see Jim Zorn near a football team was pretty cool. Granted, I never saw him play, but like 99.9 The Rock of Seattle, shout out to Steve Miggs, shouting out Seattle born and bred. That was fun. Seattle didn't particularly do well in the second half either, but it was still fun to watch. End to end. I went off track. Let's go back to the kickoff. So the official rules here show the kicker kicks from the 30-yard line and must kick the ball in the air and in play between the opponent's 20-yard line and the end zone. The coverage team lines up on the return side 35-yard line, and the return team lines up on the 30-yard line, just 5 yards from each other. Each team must have exactly 3 players outside the hash marks on both sides of the ball and cannot move until the ball is caught by the runner. I didn't think this would work. I honestly didn't think this would work. This is a great rule change that turns out to be good. I'm not mad about a rule change to football. It's amazing. Everyone is mad now in the NFL that they've changed rules with challenging pass interference because it's a judgment call. And now this is taking in two minutia of actions to that either the refs don't know what they're looking at or are too concerned about the outlook and not concerned about irrefutable evidence with quotations around it. Out of bounds kicks and kicks that fall short of the 20-yard line will result in an illegal procedure penalty, taking the ball all the way out to the kicking team's 45-yard line. Players can move when the ball is touched by the returner or 3 seconds after the ball touches the ground when the official waves his hand down. If the ball is kicked into the end zone, it is downed as a major touchback, and the ball is placed at the return side 35. If the ball bounces inbounds and then out of the end zone or is downed in the end zone, the ball is placed at the return side 15-yard line. If a player on the return team touches the ball and it goes out of bounds, the ball is spotted where it went out of bounds. If a team wishes to run an onside kick, it must indicate this to the official before the play, and the two teams will be permitted to line up using traditional NFL rules, i.e. 10 yards apart from the kicking team. There will be no surprise onside kicks. I just realized something after reading that. I could have sworn that they were doing onside kicks as a 4th and 15. And if you get the first down, you continue. But they are doing onside kicks. Which is very, very interesting. Because I thought they were trying to get rid of kickers altogether. But apparently they're not, because onside kicks do require a bunch of skill. Another very interesting rule change is the point after touchdown, or PAT. After a touchdown, the team has the option of running a play from the 2, the 5, or the 10 worth 1, 2, or 3 points respectively. The team must run an offensive play and no kicking plays are allowed. If the defense is able to cause a turnover and return the ball to the opponent's end zone, the resulting score is equal to the number of points the offense was attempting to score on its PAT. I was really not expecting this to go well, but the points after touchdown is a great idea. And again, the NFL should adopt this one too, because now that you're making, I heard the opinion that they're trying to make the point after touchdown not so automatic anymore when they move the extra point from the 2-yard line back to the 15 to make it a 20 some odd yard field goal. If the NFL is going to make it harder for the extra point to be made, why not go the full extra length and make it so you can't kick it, you have to run an offensive play? Which makes sense. And you can have more of an opportunity to make it a closer game with that 3-point extra point. Taking it to a possession is now 9 points instead of 8. So much strategy goes into this now. The punting is pretty much the same, except the ball has to be kicked inbounds, no coffin cornering it or anything. The ball automatically gets placed at the 35-yard line if it goes out of bounds or if it's a touchback or anything like that. Now, either I was just not watching or it didn't happen. The double forward pass is my mind almost can't comprehend it because I've been watching the NFL so long that it has ingrained me into the fact that only one throw of the football forward is allowed. But now with this double forward pass, it's cool. It's just that much more strategy that goes into the game. Here's the rule. If a team completes a forward pass behind the line of scrimmage, that team may throw a second forward pass as long as the ball has at no time crossed the line of scrimmage. Once the ball has passed the line of scrimmage, no forward passes are permitted. Here's the rationale for it, too. The double pass is one of the more exciting plays in football, and the XFL aims to add excitement while maintaining traditional football. The double forward pass updates the rules to make double passes less risky because the first pass may fall incomplete rather than becoming a fumbled backwards lateral. There's really no rationale for it there. That's just saying what happens. I don't know why they put that as the rationale. The rationale for that is that it's something that teams have to scheme against more, and it's just one more thing that draws the audience in because they're like, oh, that is a new trick play. I gotta see that. I'll have to look up some clips of that later and see see how much it worked, if it worked at all. Overtime. Now I have a little bit of a bone to pick with overtime. Now, I know no one has gone to overtime so far. So, so I'll have to see it to believe it. But this smells too much like soccer at the end of a game that's tied and we're in a tournament. This is 100% penalty kicks, or in the case of hockey, shootouts. It's too much like that. I want American football to be a little bit different than that. And this makes it too much similar. I'd say go with college rules for overtime. Each team possesses the ball and keeps going and keeps going. No 5 rounds, just sudden death. Well, just last one. Well, first one to miss loses. First one to not score at least a field goal from the opponent's 40 is, to me, it makes so much more sense than doing this 5 rounds of plays from the 5-yard line. It just doesn't make sense. I get that it's sort of adding another element, but I think this element is not one that would garner success. This rule change they could have done away with. The timing changes. From the timing changes that I have seen from the NFL to the XFL, I think I like them. The 25-second play clock, it's a little bit better in my opinion. Like, I get it's not as much time, but it's playing into their narrative of a more fast-paced game. Everyone wants a more fast-paced game. But for me, I think the NFL football game is fast enough. And one of the things that has fans riled up sometimes about their coaches is their time management. That's the main criticism of Andy Reid. One of the main criticisms of Jason Garrett currently. They couldn't manage clock well when it came to crunch time or just in general in the regular moments of a game. They just weren't like that. They just couldn't seem to wrap their head around how much they needed to manage the clock. And this 25-second play clock, I get it, you have to speed up the game, but sometimes that amount of clock is better for the game. Sometimes it is. Now, I know just trying to waste clock sometimes, yeah, it's definitely not fast-paced or as exciting, but it's one of the things that has my dad and I jumping up and down, saying, okay, waste time. You have the lead. Burn some clock. Strategically burn some clock off, some time off the clock. But I get it. They can have their 25-second play clock. But I love this comeback period. Here's the rules. It occurs after the 2-minute warning in each half. On plays that end in the field of play, the game clock will be stopped until the ball has been spotted and 5 seconds have run off the play clock. Incomplete passes and out of bounds play, the game clock will stop completely until the ball is snapped. So the second part of the rule is exactly like the NFL. But that first part, on plays that end in the field of play, the NFL would benefit so much from this rule change. I can guarantee you the players and the coaches from every single team on offense and defense. I think defense would like this too. Would like this rule change too. For clock to stop. Okay, maybe not defense. Defense would want that clock to run whenever they tackle someone in bounds. That's the whole strategy of putting your defensive backs on the sidelines, making it so that they can't run out of bounds. They have to run in the middle of the field. But offenses should be all for this. 100% all for this. You have 5 seconds of time to talk and make sure the rest of your team knows everything, or just 5 seconds to gather composure and clock the football. Every offense wants that in a 2-minute drill. More communication. This comeback period is so good. Timeouts, I don't like that they gave each team only 2 timeouts per half. I think they should stick with the NFL and go with 3. That's just part of the part of the game. You just gotta have 3 timeouts. Replay rulings. The XFL will have no coaches' challenges, and all plays will be subject to review from the replay official, who will be stationed in a booth above the field. Reviewable plays are limited to plays involving possession, plays involving touching of either the ball or the ground, plays governed by the goal line, plays governed by the boundary lines, plays governed by the line of scrimmage, plays governed by the line to gain, number of players on the field at the snap, game administration, penalty enforcement, proper down, spot of foul, status of game clock, disqualification of a player. This list of reviewable plays is identical to those in the NFL prior to 2019. With the exceptions being the replay official may correct obvious errors involving player safety at any point throughout the game, so like the NCAA with their targeting replays, and the replay official may correct any egregious, obvious error that may have a significant impact on the outcome of the game in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter or during overtime. That last part, the official may correct any egregious, obvious errors in the fourth quarter or overtime. That smells like soccer, especially in the Premier League with the introduction of VAR, video assistant referee, for those who don't know about that in soccer. Or, if there are any British people listening, football. If there, not that a bunch of people are paying attention to the XFL, but this has the feeling to turn out like the Premier League with the VAR. VAR has been an absolute disaster in the Premier League. And this has the potential to do that too. Yes, it can correct egregious mistakes like Saints Rams. That pass interference was so egregious, and that would have made the Super Bowl that much better if they had called that penalty, because the Saints would have won that game. No question. So I'll let that pay. I'll let that pass. I'll let that last one pass. I'm okay with the targeting rule here with the replay official. But what I'm not okay with, and what another reason why I think they should go back to 3 timeouts per quarter. Oh, sorry, per half. Is coaches' challenges. I think that coaches' challenges should be allowed, because maybe the ref will not the either the replay official or the official down on the field will not get something. And I think the coach should have the right to challenge that and have the replay official look at it, even though, yes, the replay official will most likely have a view of every play, and whether it's an egregious thing. It says egregious in the fourth quarter overtime. What if there is something egregious in the other parts? The first, the second, the third, and the first 10 minutes of the fourth. And the ref doesn't get it, and the coach is screaming to replay it, and the officials say no. That's why I think a third timeout to each coach on each team should be allowed for coaches' challenges. This has been another staple of the NFL. The coaches' challenge. Everyone's bated breath waiting for the next call. That could determine momentum of a game. It's football. It's American football. To challenge the quote-unquote establishment to see if we can't make it better. I haven't seen. I'm on the XFL.com right now, looking at their rules. 5 common sense rules. The XFL rule. To catch a ball means that a player secures control of a live ball in flight before the ball touches the ground inbounds with any part of his body, and then maintains control of the ball long enough to enable him to perform an act common to the game, i.e., long enough to pitch or hand the ball, advance it, avoid or ward off an opponent. And I'm guessing under advance it, I'm guessing stretching the ball out for more field position or to cross the line of the end zone. I'm guessing that falls under advance. If you didn't know, the XFL for catches made it the NCAA's rule. They took the NCAA rule of 1 foot in bounds is a catch, not 2. There will be a dedicated ball spotting official who will solely be responsible for quickly spotting the ball and getting a new ball after each play. That's why they have such a short play clock and why they say that it only takes about 7 seconds to place a ball. Coach-to-player communication. While still in development, the goal is for select offensive players to have a coach-to-player helmet receiver. The coach-to-player system would allow a member of the coaching staff in the bench area or the coach's booth to communicate to a player through a speaker in his helmet. Broadcast partners would have access to this communication and may use it during the game. The last part of that, I don't think that Fox or ESPN or whatever network is broadcasting the XFL game. I don't like that. I don't like that the broadcast partners have access to that communication because that's one more leg up each team has on each other because you know damn well that they're talking about plays. And they're going to link the communication to the next play. And they're not going to be able to administer the teams not being able to look over film with sound of the broadcast. All the teams are going to have that. It just doesn't seem right that the league is in a money-making ploy to bring the fan closer to the football game, to bring the analysts that are fans into the huddle. It's going to have adverse consequences to the respective teams. I just... It doesn't make sense to me. And a 10-minute halftime. Interesting. Doesn't really affect me all that much. But I guess the players, it might be more non-restful, I guess you could call it. I mean, like only 10 minutes, I guess, that would be their complaint. Like, instead of what is it, 15, 20 minutes? It's not 30, because we don't have that many commercials during the halftime show in an NFL game. So it's just 5 minutes or 10 minutes less. And I guess that's their prerogative. Well, no, it is their prerogative. But what I'm guessing is they have no other games going on that it would be useless to have the halftime show that like Fox, CBS, and Fox or CBS has in the middle of the day, because there just simply aren't other games. You can't show highlights of other games because there are only 4 games happening per weekend, and they're all at their own distinct time, whether that be in prime time or late night or in the mornings. I could go either way on the shorter halftime. Overall, I think those rules they're decent. I have no real complaint, except for maybe some minor gripes that really don't affect things in the long run. So overall, I think the weekend went nice for the XFL. It was very, very, very well executed. And to my knowledge, I think they have drawn their fair share of attention. Even though I have not heard the XFL covered over morning talk shows and debate shows and stuff on ESPN or Fox or whatever, they're not necessarily talking about it. But I think they have the American public drawn in. I think Seattle Stadium is going to be filled because you know damn sure that Seattle loves its football. And they're going to pack into CenturyLink Field to see it, even though it's the XFL. Because Seattle is a sports town, if you've ever seen it. You don't know how many people still want the Sonics. How many people are who will be lining the streets to see an NHL hockey team, something that isn't the Mariners. 'Cause man, they suck. Thank you for joining the Cowboy in the Hawk's Nest podcast today. Hope you had fun listening. Hopefully the XFL Week 2 will have a great showing. And as always, go Hawks. And how about them Cowboys?